that Mr Ashcroft paid for a trip for a Conservative MP. But with a swing from Labour of just 1%, the Tories have little cause for real cheer. The Michael Ashcroft affair just won't go away. Today, one grassroots campaigner called for him to step down because sleaze was damaging the party. Here's our political correspondent, Gary Gibbon.
You have to go back to Margaret Thatcher's heyday to find a governing party managing to increase its share of the vote in a by-election. Beaconsfield, 1982, and the defeated Labour candidate ponders whether his party will ever know power again. 17 years on, in the middle of his first administration, Tony Blair looks like he might be pulling off the same momentous trick as Margaret Thatcher. The Eddisbury result showed the new opposition, mid-term, making no headway at all.
Well, the Conservatives not really to advance on their general election position when we're in the mid-term of a government is a brilliant result, really, for us, and I actually think if we'd had another week, we could have won it.
Remember that a few days ago, the Labour Party were predicting victory. The opinion polls are showing the Labour Party were going to win. So we won the election, and we did so in the face of a very negative, personalised campaign against our candidate.
Historically, mid-term by-elections usually bring much bigger swings to the opposition. The average mid-term swing in the last 30 years is 15%. And in recent years, voters had seemed more and more inclined to use by-elections to give governments a good kicking. Against that, the Conservatives' 1.1% swing in Eddisbury is puny.
You can always have special circumstances in the by-election. The issue of fox hunting or the scandal about the Conservative treasurer, these might have made a bit of a difference, but they couldn't make much difference. They wouldn't make this by-election any less extraordinary for a government holding on. This is a defiance of the lessons of history for the last 30 years. Things are working differently now out there among the electorate.
The huge victory for Labour in 1997 is going to take some time to erode. As we've seen in the by-election, there is no sign yet of much erosion at all. I believe that Labour's on course, if not for a victory of 179 seats, for a victory of over 100.
And I do hereby
the experts say the Eddisbury by-election proves that the Tories' triumph in last month's Euro elections was a blip produced by a record low turnout. Tories claim they are making ground in local by-elections, but national opinion polls are against them. And the never-ending allegations about the business activities of the Conservatives' treasurer Michael Ashcroft don't help. It's now emerged that on Tuesday, the Conservative Party's board met at Central Office. That's the committee, comprising of regional bosses, the party leader, and the party treasurer Michael Ashcroft, that has the power to refer allegations of misconduct to the Conservatives' Ethics and Integrity Committee. Michael Ashcroft told Tuesday's meeting he had no case to answer, and with that assurance, the matter was dropped. Attention today was straying elsewhere, to be precise towards the diamond-studded Save the Pound necklace worn by William Hague's wife, Fionn, during the Euro elections. William Hague had claimed it was a love token from him to her, but the jeweller had to issue repeated demands for payment of the £1,500 bill, and it turns out to have been ordered and paid for by Mr Hague's chief press officer.
The publicity stunt.
Well, I certainly paid for it, I can tell you. So don't you worry about that.
You're saying it wasn't paid for by your press officer?
I certainly am. I've certainly paid for it. Anyway,
in fact, Mr Hague settled up in a hurry this afternoon. A reminder that publicity stunts, just like by-election victories, are not always what they seem.
Gary Gibbon, well, we asked the Conservative Party for an interview, but in spite of their election victory last night, they were strangely reluctant. However, Steve Norris, a former minister, now prospective Conservative candidate for the Mayor of London post, is a good friend of Mr Ashcroft and is here now. What?